Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuramedeva Sarva Karishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gunatita Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamaha. Jano Janandidam Satyam Muchyate Bhavabandhanat. Om Bhagavate Shri Swaminarayanaya Namaha. Shri Lakshmi Narayanaya Namaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha. Shri Narnarayanaya Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 7th of January 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine the Mandukya Upanishad and specifically the word Aksharam. Within the mantra of the Mandukya, what do we find? We find that this extraordinary word is there. It is actually the fourth word. So the entire mantra is as follows. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakhyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyat iti sarvam omkaraha eva. This is the actual mantra, broken down word by word. So we have been examining the meaning of this word akshara. Akshara means, of course, imperishable, that which is unending, that which is eternal, that which is always present, that which can never be destroyed, that which always is. That is its basic meaning. Now, having said that, we, of course, are in human body. This human body is very, very special. Durlabham manusham deha. Why is this body special and what are we to do with this body? That is the big question. So, if the goal through satsang, through the great teachings of all the sages, is to realize that I am Brahman, I am Akshara, I am the divine. If that is the goal, with a belief. It begins with belief in the scriptures. For example, this Mandukya Upanishad, verse number 1, if Sachin says, ye kya bakwas hai, then the whole journey stops. Then I'm just going to be lost in the forest of the material world. That's all. There's a jungle. Material world is a jungle. Every being is trapped inside this jungle. But if we want to evolve beyond the entrapment of the jungle, if we want to realize a higher state of living, if it's a big I, big F, capital I, capital F, if, then the technology exists of how to utilize this human body to realize that. Utilize this to realize that. Otherwise, we will simply be lost inside this jungle of the material sansara. We have only one of two options, every human being. We can either just remain lost. That's the only thing that will happen. Look at all the people in the world. They're just lost only, nothing else. Aise hi chalta hai jeevan. And they die one day. There's nothing achieved in that. They're just living as an animal, less than animal. So they have not realized how to use this body. For what purpose? People are using this body, mind, senses for Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsar, Irsha, Trushna, Ahankar, this standard list of the Antar Shatru. They're running only after that. Most people, 90% or more, Rajsik Bhav, and then they die like that. You can see it. It's not criticizing anybody, but that is also placed by God like that so that the Jivatma gains that experience. But those special souls who have mumukshutvam, who realize, no, this is very limited. There's something much greater that we can realize. And this is where the rarity of the human body comes into the picture with regards to doing sadhana. Please understand this point clearly. Otherwise, these Upanishads and Gita and everything won't mean anything at all. It won't have any practical use unless we understand this. All of us, but particularly me, Sachin, who is speaking first. There's a human body. This human body is rare, durlabham. Do I believe that? It is. Look at it is rare compared to all the species. This is very special. So to obtain the body, the Jivatma is given this body that is very, very special. Okay, now we have the body. Now what? Well, we have several capabilities, several key capabilities that are of extreme importance. The first is that we have the ability to reflect on our own existence. Other beings may not really have that capacity. They're just living out their karma. One of the most significant faculties that distinguishes humans from other beings is the ability to reflect on our own existence. We can ask profound existential questions, existence questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? These are the questions we can ask. And it is from this that we can go beyond mere survival instincts and delve into the very nature of reality, identity, and consciousness. We can delve into these questions through path of inquiry. We can utilize our buddhi, our mind, our senses to probe. And it is this probing that is called Atma Vichar. So Atma Vichar in Jnana Yoga is a path to separate out that which is unreal, asatyam, that which is real. It is like a laser beam, Atma Vichar. Now let's understand this carefully and slowly. Vichar means contemplation, thinking, seeing. It has a lot of meaning. Probing, to inquire, to see, to really perceive. This is called Atma Vichar in Jnana Yoga. And when we begin this path of Atma Vichar, we begin to see that the vasanas inside of us are an experience we are having. It is not me. Now, see, this is really quite something. Each human being is driven by vasana, V-A-S-A-N-A. Vasana means deep-seated desires that prop up through the causal body, the karana sharira, and keep pushing the individual in thousands of directions. These are called vasanas. Please remember, there are two categories of vasanas. One is asaddha vasana and the other is saddha vasana. Asad vasana means that which will bind us further into the jungle of the sansar. The sansar is a jungle, a forest, where the jivatma is lost inside this forest. The Sadguru who comes, great sages who come, like Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya ji, and so many others, they come, they're sent by God, or they are incarnations to help the jivatma come out of the jungle that is the sansar. Bhavasagar. Bhavasagar na neer tarine jau sameti. Santo. Gujarati bhajan hai, ek bahut sundar bhajan hai. To cross the ocean of transmigration, they come out of grace, out of karuna. They don't want anything from anybody. They have to suffer also a lot in this sansar. Every saint has had to suffer tremendous amount because of the problems of the sansar. But that is, they are placed by God because they have karuna inside. They don't want anything from anybody inside this fallen world, as the Bible would say. They are there to help the jivatma cross back into the Brahman. So they show, like Raman Maharishi, the path of inquiry. Like J. Krishnamurti, the path of choiceless awareness. Although he didn't call it a path, but that's really what it is. Like Shankaracharya ji, Gyan Yoga, he emphasized that a lot. Like Bhagwan Swaminarayan, where he mentioned Nijatmanam Brahmarupam, that is also Advait Vedanta, mixed in that half of that shlok of Shikshapatri, 116. We have the capacity to inquire. And once we sit for inquiry, what is the sadhana? The sadhana is very, very straightforward. First of all, be very steady. Sit in one place. In the temple. Make a temple or a meditation place at home where there is quiet. It should be very, very quiet. हमारे जो मंदिर में people are talking inside the sanctum sanctorium, they should not be talking anything over there. Only mantras are to be chanted and sitting silently and doing your antarik sadhana. No other conversation should be going on inside the prayer area where the murtis are installed. None, absolutely no conversation should be there. But that is not how it is done. Many times people are talking all kinds of things. Talk outside the temple, not over there. वहाँ भगवान के साथ संबंध है. This is how the sadhana is done. So how to do Atma Vichar? You sit very silently. And recommendation, as per Shankaracharya ji himself, is to do bhajans. As Gunadidanand Swami said, पहला भजन करो. भजन करो ये सर्वश्रेष्ठ छे. सर्व करता भजन करो. Meaning start with bhajan kirtan. 7 bhajans, 9 bhajans, 11 bhajans. Select an odd number, 21 bhajans. Do them first. That brings the purification and the right bhav. Hamari jo bhavna hai, it brings it into the right focus. Because our mind is not going to think in inquiry in the path of Atma Vichar until our bhavna has become stabilized and shuddha. Hamari bhavna jab tak shuddha nahi banti, hamare vichar shuddha ban hi nahi sakte. कभी भी नहीं. कैसे बनेंगे? मनुष्य के विचार 90% अशुद्ध है. 90% it is a polluted mind, damaged mind. How that can go into Atma Vichar? It cannot go into any kind of Atma Vichar. It is just drowning inside the 3 gunas of Maya, particularly Rajogun, Tamogun. And then rolling around there like a pig in mud and then dying one day. Itna hi hai, iska koi arth nahi hai. This is not life. It is a living death. There is another kind of life. And Sachin is only telling myself. Sachin is not telling anybody else. No right to tell anybody anything. In Gujarati we say, Katha varta karvi, potana kalyan mate karvi. Pota mate karvi. Pota uppar levu. Bija, don't worry about anybody else. So this is how to do Atma Vichar. There's a step-by-step sadhana. First, bring the mind, meaning our bhavana, our emotional space, into a purified state. Steady space, purified space, attuned to the frequency of love. If we cannot attune our bhavana to the frequency of love, we can never, ever, under any circumstances, enter into Atma Vichar. Hoga bhi nahi wo. Ho hi nahi sakta. Our brain-mind system is not set up that way that we can reach Atma Vichar. Atma Vichar to bahut aage ki baat hai. First, bring the mind in under stability. So the sadhana is like this. Let's say we start with 5 bhajan. Start with dhun, prarthana, start with few bhajans like this. Ishtadev ka bhajan karna, guruon ka smaran karna. With bhavana. It's not just listening, in 1 year, out the... No, not like that. It is to bring the bhajan inside. Bhajan, kirtan ka jo bhav hai, to resonate with that bhavana. Like Mirabai ka jo bhajan hai, Prabhu ji, tuma chandan, hum pani. Each line of each poem or bhajan that is written by the great sages, Tulsidas ji, whether it's Mirabai, Kabir Ji, whether it's Premanand Swami, jo bhi ho. There is a great डिवाइन भावना, दिव्य भावना है इसमें, और वो भजन कीर्तन के जो लाइन है इसमें भी दिव्य ज्ञान है. There are two things that are mixed inside the lines of the bhajans, lines of the poems, the padas as they are called. Whether it is in Marathi, whether it is in the Guru Granth Sahib, whether it is in the Gujarati language, any Bengali language, it doesn't matter. In Sanatan Dharma, different languages are there, but the truth is only one. South Indian languages, Tamil, it is there, or whether it is in Kannada, or whether it is in Malayalam, or any language. In Sanatan Dharma, the sages have come at different times, at different places, to bring the same Satyam. And so whichever language you know, go into this the scriptural and poetic lore that is present. The bhajan kirtan that are present in those languages. Like, for example, Ramakrishna Paramahans used to sing bhajans. He used to dance, actually. There's a beautiful picture of Ramakrishna Paramahans dancing. You should see. I'll put it on this sometime. I'll show it to you. He was, if you read the Ramakrishna Kathamrut, if you haven't done so, humble request to do so. Don't waste time in life. Ye sab shastro padna. Sachin can only cover so much every day. There's an ocean of stuff, and we can do it. Why not? We say we don't have time. We have all kinds of time. We definitely have time. We're wasting time. Stop wasting time. Just go into the scriptures. Ramakrishna Paramahans says, Ramakrishna Kathamrut, it shows he speaks, he's with devotees, and then there's bhajan going on. There's bhajan and katha. Bhajan and katha. Same thing you find in Vachanamrut. Bhagwan Swaminarayan, उनके जीवन में भी ये चलता था. Continuous भागवतम की कथा, भगवत गीता, वासुदेव महात्मा, अनेक शास्त्रों की कथा चलती थी. फिर महाराज मनन चिंतन करते थे, और he would speak from his own अनुभव, and then then bhajan kirtan goes. He's teaching us. ये जो बड़े-बड़े जो महापुरुष आ गए, they're showing us how to do the sadhana by their life. The bhajan kirtan and contemplation, manan chintan, and then diving back into the Atma. Ramakrishna Paramahansa's life was like that. Vivekananda Swami's life was like that. Shriji Maharaj's life was like that. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's life was like that. All of them, Vallabhacharya ji, each Mahapurush shows the sadhana that start with bhajan kirtan, follow some good niyams that need to be followed, and then the preparation is there to dive into Atma Vichar. Atma Vichar kaise karna, how to do that, we will talk about that in the upcoming days. But the first step is to absorb the bhajans inside. It's not to listen to bhajans only. We say bhajan sunte hai. No, that is not going to help. That is not that's okay. It's a beginning, but it's like, bouncing. The bhajans bounce off. They don't come inside. हमारे अंतर में भजन, I think in Gujarati we say अंतरमा भजन, अंतरमा ए भजननो भाव बेसवो જોઈએ. It doesn't sit, the bhavana that is written in the words, is it sitting inside? Or is it bouncing off our brain, our head? It's coming into the ear, and the maya is such, the agnan is such inside of us. No, you're not going to come inside. I'm going to bounce you off right out. Bounce like a tennis ball that bounces right off. The bhajan kirtan bounces off our brain. It doesn't go inside. That is the problem. That is the trouble, actually. And that's why people don't realize God. Why? How many people throughout this sansar are doing some kind of sadhana? So many, millions. God knows how many are there. Churches में, गुरुद्वारा में, मंदिरों में, घर में कितनी साधना करते हैं. Why is there? Why are so few people liberated? Why is that? Because the lack of penetration of the Divya Vani, the lack of penetration of the divinity within the words of the great sages. As it goes inside, it penetrates inside. It lives inside the heart of the devotee. This is called rasbas. In Gujarati, we say rasbas thaijo. Ras means it's the intensity of that bhavana. And then once those bhajan kirtan absorb inside, then that absorption needs to remain like that. Otherwise, what will happen is like a sponge, that has absorbed all the water. We will squeeze it out and the sponge becomes dry again. This is what people do. Even if it is absorbed, we will squeeze out the spirituality, throw it away, and be dry again like a dry sponge, back into the jungle of the sansar. No, don't squeeze it out. Don't squeeze out the extraordinary love and the truth that has begun to open from inside. Leave it alone. Usko touch nahi karna. Don't do anything to that. Don't squeeze it out of the system. Because once it comes into the system, if you get a glimpse of that Param Shanti, Param Ananda, don't squeeze it out, because our mind is so habitually addicted to the madness of the sansar, we squeeze away and throw out that pure, divine, divya love, divine truth that has begun to open inside of us. This is what we do. This is what sadhaks do. Because they are not siddha. Sadhak has to reach siddha state. To reach the siddha state meaning an self-mastery state, not to squeeze out and throw away the awakened ideas that have come about. And that is intelligence. That is called the right, proper use of buddhi. Otherwise, life will just be over like that, right? Now, it is almost time to stop here. I just want to mention one or two quick things, then we will go. See, self-reflective questioning is huge. One of the biggest reflections is that this body, this mind, this sense of who I am, it is a great gift that I am Brahman. This is now the path of inquiry is such. We begin to probe, who am I? Bhagwan satya hai, Atma satya hai. So when we take steady breaths in and out, we use a hand mudra, like keep hands open or different mudras. There's ways of doing this. And then from there, we stay in the present, separating that which is unreal, that which is temporary, leave it alone where it should be. And then to discover the me. Who am I? So this path of bhajan, kirtan, bhakti in the beginning, that is necessary. And then from there, the energies inside align, and one is no longer stuck inside the unreal. That separates out. And in that separation, a point comes by inquiry, by seeing, observing the mind. The mind and its fluctuation is observed. And in that pure observation, the effulgence of the Atma opens up. The Atma Tattva is extraordinarily beautiful. The Atma is who you are, who we are. Not it is what we are not and what we are. What we are is the divine being itself, but it is hidden. It is beyond the causal body. The causal body and the vasanas and the mind, mental world, it all has to be crossed. It's not an easy thing. We are stuck inside the mental world. But to not be stuck there, how to move out of that? This is what the entire process of spiritual evolution is all about. Still, we live in the world as we do, but we live as a Jivan Mukta. These words we're using, hold on to them, understand them. It says, Sachin is a Jivan Mukta. Say that to yourself. I am a Jivan Mukta. I am not a bound soul. ગુણાતીતાનંદ સ્વામી મેન્શન પોતાને અક્ષર માનવું, ગમે તે થતું હોય જીવનમાં પોતાને અક્ષર માનવું. I am imperishable. This is the Upanishadic teaching. This is what the Upanishad is again and again asking us to realize, that we are that divinity. We are that extraordinary being. Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam. All that exists is Brahman. The fluctuations come and go. All that exists is Brahman. So we'll talk more about this in the upcoming days. What is the actual sadhana? How to move into this further. Let's stop here for today. Om Dhyanamulam Guror Murti Mantramulam Guror Vakyam Pujamulam Guror Padam Mokshamulam Guror Krupa Om Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trimbake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Om Divilingaya Namaha Urdhvalingaya Namaha Anandalingaya Namaha Dvadas Jyotirlingaya Namaha Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshayamamritat Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swaha Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Tha Swaha Om Shri Durgarpanamastu Om Shri Radha Krishnar Panamastu Om Hrim